about. We the lit. Hey, it's your boy Crimson Red. Thank you for coming back to Crimson Red Pill Podcast, y'all. Happy Juneteenth. Happy motherfucking Juneteenth. That's right. And contrary to popular belief, yes, we are free. I did not go to work today. Now I ain't gonna work on Juneteenth until they start paying time and a half. Fight me. If they ain't paying time and a half, they ain't getting my labor. Nah, shun. In reality, I really wanted to know how y'all spent y'all day today. Did y'all celebrate Juneteenth? For those who don't know, Juneteenth is a holiday that celebrates the freedom from slavery in this country, freedom from chattel slavery that officially ended in 1863. But in Galveston, Texas, the slaves there were still kept in slavery. They were not allowed to learn how to read. And so they did not know that the newspaper said they were free. They did not know they were free. They legally were, but they didn't know. They didn't catch on. And of course, nobody down there in Galveston, Texas was going to tell them. So yeah, they worked another 2 years on the house, on that house. That's how they say down here in Florida. That work was on the house. Yep, all that free labor on the house. And Lord knows what else they were put through. And that's one of the major misconceptions about what slavery was. It wasn't just free labor. Slavery involved separating families, separating parents from their children, separating siblings from each other, taking away your name. Whatever your mother named you did not matter on the new plantation. Taking away your language. When the slaves first got here, as one of the first things they had to shed their language. When the slaves first got here in 1619, they had to shed their religions, their various religions from the various countries and cultures that they came from. They had to shed that in exchange for Christianity. Christianity was beat into Black people in America. We could talk about that more on another episode. Losing their religion, losing their language, losing their culture, losing so much knowledge about themselves was a huge part of slavery. The whippings and the torture, the rape, the murder, all of that was a part of slavery, as Black people were not considered to be human, but considered to be property of American citizens. Ending that was a huge fucking deal. And anybody who got a problem with that, Candace Owens, can fight me. She talking about Juneteenth is ghetto and made up. Hey, dickhead, all holidays are made up. Name me one holiday that wasn't made up. I guess you think Christmas was created in the first 7 days on 4th of July, huh? 4th of July just was here already. It's natural, right? Stupid ass. Candace Owens is one of those dumbass broads that thinks because she has an extensive lexicon that she's smarter than her less privileged counterparts. We just need to rise up and show her. She has never, she probably never been to the cookout. I don't know who raised her, but they failed her, and she's failing her followers. I don't know why people even entertain her tomfoolery and shenanigans, her coonery, which is really all it is Uncle Tom foolery and coonery. Coonery buffoonery. That's what Spike Lee called it. Coonery buffoonery. Those white people you're entertaining do not accept you as one of their own. They're laughing at you just like we are. I really don't get it. But that's something that you're gonna have to learn on your own, Miss Owens. So until then, we will continue to celebrate. Yeah, I'm celebrating clear into the night. This is my day off. My day off. All them slaves did not work for free. so that I could work on the day they were supposed to be let free. Nah, son. No, we keeping it free over here. That is until they start paying time and a half. Reparations. I think reparations is something that's as old to us. But here's the discord. Here's the conundrum. Free labor is what put America at the forefront of the world's economic power. And so basically, having slaves made this country a lot of money. However, if we were to receive reparations in the form of actual money, it literally would cripple the country that we live in. And then the money would be worth a lot less. My suggestion is that we demand reparations in the form of no taxes. Why should anyone of African or Native American descent pay taxes on a land that was built against them? Everything in this country goes against all Black people, not just the descendants of slaves. This country hates Black people. Fight me. And if you disagree, see me in the comment section. We can fight about it in the comment section. This country was set up for Black people to fail. Now, I'm not saying white people hate Black people. I'm saying that the country itself, the raw materials of the country, just were set up for white people, white men even, to succeed. There's really no way for us to get up where we are supposed to be. Every other group of people came to this country for wealth and prosperity. And they were able to find it with trade, hard work, and something that the government knew, which is if you loan subsidies, they will pay back with interest. So basically, if you take the money you have, the gold and silver that you have, and you give it to the immigrants can build wealth and turn this country into something that builds money. And all you have to do is tax them. That's all. You tax them, and now the country's rich. So if you have if you take 10% of a million, yeah, they'll have 900,000 and you'll have 100,000. But if you do that for 100 people, you will then have 10 million and they will all have 900,000. And that's what taxes do. When Black people came here, Black people did not arrive on their own boats. Black people did not arrive here of their own accord in 1619. The first Black people that came here came against their will. And the Civil War kind of made things worse. Freeing the slaves. I always said that Abraham Lincoln didn't really free the slaves. He stretched out what it actually means to be a slave, because now everybody has to pay taxes. Or what do? They take away your freedom. And so you make a bunch of taxpayers out of people who used to be slaves, and you make indentured servants out of people who used to be slave owners. And now everybody's equal, but they don't know that. They think, Black people, because they were captured, were not able to think with the capacity of free white Americans. And so they hate Black people for the war that freed them. They hate Black people for wanting to be free. They hate Black people because they looked at Black people as pets who betrayed their masters and not people yearning to be free. And they hate us for that. And they teach their children to hate us for that. And, it's a shame because, all Black people really wanted was to be free on the land they were born in. But, what are you going to do? Oh, Candace Owens really pisses me the fuck off, man. I want to know what 20 pieces of silver is worth nowadays, Candace Owens. I just don't see why you hate yourself so much. I get it. Everybody in the manosphere understands women value attention. And so you think that with all this negative attention that it's, you know, inconsequential, but it's not. You're damaging yourself, you're damaging your own image, you're damaging your community. And your community is black people. And we don't have to accept you, we don't have to like you. But the people who you're vying for, they think you're one of us. And they are the ones running the country, and they are the ones in charge of everything. They are the ones that own everything. The people you're cooning for don't accept you as their own, and they never will. They never will. Now, with us, at least you could turn around. So many black people really don't give a fuck about you that they probably walk past you every day and don't know who you are. So you still got a shot. You still got a shot to turn things around. You still have the chance to see the error of your speech. But but you got to do it before it's too late. I don't know when that's going to be. Just try not to piss off the wrong people, yo. That's all I can say. You're still a sister. You're still a sister. It's still time. It's still hope. Yeah. So we just gonna keep hoping for you. That's all. We're gonna keep hoping for you. But you're ruining our communities by cooning for white people. That's all I'm gonna say. It really pisses me off every time I think about it. One thing that black people gotta understand is that freedom is supposed to be free. We fought in the Union military for our own freedom. But one thing that I was taught growing up is that the black man ain't got no place in the white man's military. Who are you fighting for now? Who are you fighting against? For us to go elsewhere to take away the freedom of others is it's hypocrisy, and it's actually, is low key coonery again. You're representing a country who wants to enslave other people under what they call democracy. Yeah, if you're a freedom fighter, fight with the freedom fighters. If there's another country where their people are already enslaved, you want to end apartheid and all of that. All right, I get that. But to just say, "Oh yeah, I go on tour here and there and wherever they send me to fight," and you don't know why you're fighting, and you don't know who the real enemy is, and you need to really pay more attention to politics, y'all. We fought a whole war to get us free. Where where are you now when we in the streets where we need you at now? We still got problems cashing in on all this freedom. Help us out here. If your union isn't sending you here to these streets now, then are you really standing for what you think you're standing for? I don't know. I don't know. Everybody got their own reason to fight. I just think that my people should be fighting for my people because nobody else is. Y'all fighting for the freedom of tyrants. It's a sad thing. It's a sad chapter in American history. Nevertheless, I am proud to be an American. Why? Because it's all I know. I keep saying it's the greatest country on earth. I have no way to confirm that. I've never really been to any other country other than to, maybe visit for a day or two. Um, how do I know this is the best country? I don't know. I know it has potential, and I know it's my birthright. It's all of our birthright. If you were born here in the United States, on the United States soil, on American soil, this country is your birthright. You should not be deprived equality. You should not be deprived civil rights. You should not be deprived of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Everybody else getting it. Immigrants who came here willingly, they getting it. So I want to talk about these Hotep niggas. I'm still American, y'all. All right. Just because I don't always get my due, don't make me any less American. Just because I'm still old doesn't mean that I'm any less American. And so Y'all really need to stop talking all this shit about going back to Africa. Whenever somebody tell me, "Oh, we're not really free till we go back to Africa," where we go, what African language do you speak, bruh? What African religion do you practice? Which African god do you serve? Do you trade in African currency? Do you invest in any African nation? Don't give me that 23 and me shit about which tribe you think you came from. Which tribe do you actually have a claim to? If you go to Africa right now, which tribe is going to claim you? Stop sitting there acting like you all Africa, to Africa, that you don't live in Africa. You telling us to go back to Africa? That's a continent. Which country do you want us to go back to? You think Africa is all these saints and stuff. The people are beautiful, yes, and the land is beautiful. Everything's great over there. I have no quarrel with Africa or Africans. But for you to be telling us we should forsake our birthright here to go to a country that did not fight for our freedom. I don't recall any uh, African built and owned ships coming from Africa across the pond to come fight for us and to come reclaim us for our freedom or anything like that. Did they? I mean, I'm humble enough to ask if you smart enough to know. Did any Africans leave Africa to come to America to help in the Civil War to free the African slaves? Did they send for us? Is there any programs where Africa is sending for descendants of their people to come back to Africa and reclaim their birthright over there? And just stop telling us about how great Africa is. If we had never came here, would we be there doing the same thing, building up Africa? Would we be in the Civil War, the many many civil wars Africans have fought against the colonizers of Africa? How many of those wars did you fight in? How many times, what are you doing for Africa for you to tell us that we need to go back there and take advantage of the bounties over there? You need to stop with that. This is our birthright here. We can't just be like all these other immigrants, run from our home and expect things to be better wherever we end up. Well, we got to learn the language, and we have no claim to it. We have no rights. We don't deal in their currency. Y'all a little bit too gung ho about going back to Africa, and some of us never been there ever before. I love America, and I do what I can to make my way here, and it is my birthright. Um, Philadelphia is one of the most beautiful cities I've ever seen. If y'all can, make sure y'all make y'all way up there to Philly. You've got a friend in Pennsylvania, and Philly is the city of brotherly love. It still is, and it always was. Things get bad out in them streets, but home is home, and it's such a beautiful place. Best food in America. So yeah, we really gotta work on our unity here. Now that we're free, we gotta make sure we take advantage of what it means to be free. We gotta stop hating on each other. Start working together. There's so many advantages to that. Just work together to remain free. Try to, you know, free other people who don't understand how free we are. Help them. Help each other. Help each other learn, help each other grow. We can do this. I'm glad that everything happened the way it did. I mean, slavery is ugly. That didn't have to happen, but it wasn't something. It's a piece of human history that ultimately was defeated. You know, we as a species, we got to learn somehow. We got to mess up. You know what I mean? As long as we're able to fight to correct things and make things right, then let's keep it pushing and let's learn and let's grow. But you have to remember that you are free. Don't let this country break you down and make you think that you owe them something. You have the hands connected to the muscles that are just like the ones that built this country, and we continue to build this great nation of ours. It's still in a construction process. We're still making strides. We're freeing everybody else. Now we freed the women. We freed the LGBT community. We're freeing a lot of people. The Emancipation Proclamation actually was the basis for the foundation of anti-discrimination laws. Can't discriminate against nobody because of the standards that were created around freeing the black slaves. So yeah, we got to keep up that unity. Also, yo, let's give a shout out to the white abolitionists, yo. Um, a lot of times we feel like all we got is us. And I get that because a lot of times our allies, they be in the shadows because racism goes all the way up to the damn White House. And it's difficult for them to operate in their circles and still try to help us in our circles. We still have a level of mental slavery that affects and afflicts our communities, our various black communities. And we do need help getting out. And there are a bunch of different people from other cultures and races they're stepping up. One thing I can say is that I don't know what it's like to be called a nigger lover. For them to step out of their own community, they get shunned, and it's not easy for them. I applaud their efforts. I appreciate their sacrifices. Thank you to the allies, yo. We need all the help we can get. Nobody can do this alone. And so we still got a lot of work to do. We got a lot of building to do. And we still got to fight for reparations. I'm always going to speak up on reparations. You know, I've been the victim of racism, and I'm not just talking about being called the N word with a hard R. Yeah, I've been discriminated against. I've been attacked physically. I mean, nothing I couldn't handle, but they didn't know that. They thought they had a victim. Didn't turn out like that. You know, um, uh, uh, I actually was a witness to white flight when black people start moving into a predominantly white neighborhood and the white people and the property value goes down because white people start selling. They don't want to live near black people. So they sell cheap because they just want out. They just want to get out of that neighborhood. And they're invited to buy cheap in other white neighborhoods, perpetuating their generational wealth. Because the more white people you have in that neighborhood, the less of anybody else you have in that neighborhood. And so the property maintains its value. And black people, you know, because those white people sell cheap, more black people move in, and then the white neighborhood turns into a black neighborhood. They call it white flight. Well, gave birth to the term, there goes the neighborhood. Black people start moving there. I witnessed that. I was alive for that. We got a lot of work to do to get these reparations. Um, I'm not going to stop because I ain't got it in me to stop. I want what I'm owed. Now I didn't suffer like my forefathers, or I didn't suffer like my parents, and they didn't suffer like theirs. But the the suffering goes down to generations. We are still affected by the things that happened back then. So we definitely do need those reparations. I say, look, just you know, cancel out the taxes, cancel out the educational fees, and let's call it even. Black people shouldn't have to pay for education after so long not being allowed to be educated. It was 250 years. 250 years they weren't allowed to be educated. So you should pay for their education. That it puts us behind the curve. There's nothing you can do about that. You know, um, It's not that we can't get an education today. It's just that we were generationally taught to devalue an education, and that still persists today. You know, that's definitely an effect of of post slavery and Jim Crow. Is that black people were taught that we should not be educated. I've spoken with people my age, within the past decade that have said, "Oh man, I ain't getting nothing out of school, man. I'm just trying to get to the bag." Like, damn, you really just don't want to be educated, like at all? No, they don't. I've spoken to just a couple years ago. I spoke to a young lady who, coming into her own, says she wanted to marry a white man because black boys can't be educated. End quote. That's what she said. Black boys can't be educated. They just want to get high, play video games, and kill each other. Is what she said. And I was like, well, at the time, Barack Obama was the president. I said, well, what about Barack Obama? He went to Harvard. She said, I ain't talking about him. Like, okay, well, surely there's people like him, people who came after him, people your age who are in college that are black. Not saying that you should marry a black guy, but why rule them out? Now imagine who else is ruling out black people because they have that same opinion of us. Yeah. If we think that about ourselves, imagine how many other demographics of people think that about us, you know? So all of these are the effects of slavery. This is post-slavery, post-Jim Crow effects. A lot of people say, "Oh, well, the system is broken." No, the system works exactly the way it was designed to work. This is exactly what they wanted. So we have to be the ones to counteract those effects. Freedom is a process. So, it's Juneteenth. I'm going to take off because I told you I ain't working today. Y'all lucky y'all even got this. Fight me. Enjoy the cookouts. I hope y'all enjoyed the whole weekend and celebrated. Just relax. This is your ancestors and forefathers fought for you to relax today. So you do just that. All right. Deuces.